I'm here to talk to you about genuine philosophy. What is genuine philosophy? I will tell you before we get started, I'm going to be looking behind me a lot of the time because one thing about me is I always want to be aware of my surroundings. And if I'm looking out this way, nothing's going to come from the water unless, who knows, actually, something might come from the water. But there's only one way to get here, and that's at least one dry way, and that's from behind me. So if I ever look behind me, that's what I'm doing, looking to see if there's nothing sneaking up behind me. I hope it's not too windy, which it's definitely windy to me, so it's probably windy on that thing too. Hope you can even hear me, because I have no idea. My mic is not working because my phone is not working the way I want it to. Such is life. But regardless of all that, welcome. I'm here to tell you about genuine philosophy. Now, I do genuinely want to tell you about as much as I can with genuine philosophy without rambling on and without overloading you. Although, I am pretty good at doing that. At least in terms of just a lot of information. Even if I see a little bit of an interest, I usually like to tackle on there. Or if it's a really good idea, I like to explore it as best I can. And I love doing that with other people if they are so inclined. So, regardless of all that, again, so genuine philosophy, at its very core, is a philosophy to become more conscious, more aware of your life, or of the philosophy that you walk around with in this current moment. Somebody actually asked me today what philosophy is. And it's kind of funny to think about because philosophy is literally everything. From my current knowledge, I will also say this, that everything I say is from my own ignorant mind. At times arrogant, but I try to dumb that version down as much as I can. Maybe not dumb it down, but at least try to negate it as best I can, because I don't want to be an arrogant person. And that's basically what genuine philosophy is all about. Not being an arrogant person, but doing and being who you want to be. Want is the key word. Genuine philosophy is the philosophy about being a genuine person as consciously as you can be, which means that you figure out what you want to be in life, what you want to do in life. Not specifically in terms of a career or a job or a relationship, although it is all of those things as well. It is more so how you feel about certain things. So, for example, you can think about life in terms of how you want to feel about happiness, how you want to feel about sadness, pain, how you want to feel about stress, anxiety. One of the things that I've started saying a lot recently is I'm tired of being stressed about things I don't want to be stressed about. I want to be stressed consciously. Although that's a perfect world. But specifically what I mean by that is I'm tired of not being sure if my car is going to be 100% today. Getting in the car and deciding on if I want to eat at a restaurant or eat at McDonald's. Or wait till I get home so that I can eat ramen. Not being stressed about driving to the gas station knowing full well that I can just fill my tank up because I'm going to need gas tomorrow, but I don't want to spend $40 because it feels better to spend 20, even though the next day I might have to spend 20 again, and the total will still be 40. It feels a little bit better to just spend $20 twice. I don't know if that's true, or I'm just making things up, but it makes me feel good, so why not? I don't want to do that. I don't want to stress about those kinds of things. I want to stress about how I can be the best version of myself for the people around me, so that I can lift my friends, lift my family, and lift people that are acquaintances or even strangers up around me, even if they interact with me for a second or for the rest of my life, versus theirs, because who knows? I might perish before they do. So, but I mean, there's things after life too that can bring you joy, bring others joy, more so others than you, because you're at least no longer in the living world. But we don't need to talk about that, at least yet, because we will talk about that. But can you see like I'm low-key anxious right now? Not really. It's probably very low right now, but I can't be 100% certain that I'm safe, because you never know. You never know. Always be aware. That's my motto. No, it's not. But... So, I'm going to try my best to keep it under control and talk about genuine philosophy in a specific manner that can be both comprehensible, I think that's a word, and at least somewhat entertaining. But I will tell you that my overall goal is not to specifically entertain you, at least directly. If it happens indirectly, great. If it doesn't, well, I did warn you. My main goal is to divulge, or at least explain and articulate to the best of my ability, from my own perspective, how I view genuine philosophy. I will also let you know that genuine philosophy is of my own creation. So if there's flaws in it, which I'm most certainly sure there are, and if you don't agree with some of it, that's perfectly fine. I'm not here to force you to believe in something that, first of all, you're hearing about from a YouTube video. Not putting anything down on YouTube videos, because I've learned a lot on YouTube. But something in terms of original philosophy, maybe you wouldn't specifically go to YouTube for. I don't know where you would go to YouTube, or not YouTube, but I don't know where you would go for original philosophical concepts. Maybe YouTube, Instagram, Masterclass, Mind Valley. I don't know. Like, I really don't know where you would go. Maybe it all is all that. Maybe it is all of the above. I don't know. So, I will say this, that at least with my own philosophy, I try my best to think of philosophy on my own terms, from my own perspective. Because, for one thing, I don't want to copy anybody, but I also want to find the origin source to why I believe certain things. So what I mean by specifically origin source is basically where it comes from. Like, if I have a specific belief, I want to know where it started. I hope that makes sense. I think it makes sense. I mean, at the very least, I'm also gonna just let you know that I will laugh a lot. It just means I'm processing things at a high rate of speed, and I'm trying to elaborate on them, but also think about it. But then as I think about it, I think about something else and how they're connected, and then I also think about, well, I'm trying to do something here, so all that is happening all at once. So, and also, as you can see, I will lose track of what I'm saying or what I'm doing. So that not all my content is going to be like this, which is kind of chaotic at times, but pure philosophy, just me talking. Hopefully in a nice place. I mean, this is okay. The dream would be doing it all over the world, but I definitely want to do it all over the United States. That's definitely a goal, and I've been dreaming that for very, very long. This is the first time I'm doing one of these videos like this, sharing the knowledge in this way. So I thank you for clicking on the video and listening to it or watching it for at least 5 seconds. The whole idea is to explain these philosophical concepts from the perspective of genuine philosophy. And you still might be sitting there like, what is genuine philosophy? Don't worry, I'll get there. Eventually, one day. These types of videos are going to be maybe 30 or 60 minutes, possibly longer. I'm not entirely sure. It is kind of cold out. But it's just going to be me talking. I do have there will be other content that will be very precise, and we'll talk about things on a focused level, ideally of some of the things that I talk about in these bigger, large formats. The purpose of this is that it's raw, uncut footage of me just sitting here talking about certain things. And I could be possibly making breakthroughs, at least within genuine philosophy, while I'm sitting here talking about it. And a lot of the times, I'll probably figure out things just sitting here and seeing if they're good or not. A lot of the things that I might say when I'm in the discovery mode, I might not agree with, and I'll say it in those moments. Because the last thing I want to do is say something that I don't believe. I mean, who wants to say that? But who wants to do that? I want to try and be as open and honest, consistent, authentic, and genuine as I possibly can. So, with that 15 minutes, 37 seconds. I don't know if that's true, but would be pretty cool if it was. I'm going to try to give you another specific overview of what genuine philosophy is. Again, I already previously said that it is a philosophy that I created, am creating, that is to be more conscious. The goal is to be more conscious in your life, to bring more awareness into your life. There's a lot more to it than obviously just that. But I'm trying to think of specific ways that I can bring philosophical concept of genuine philosophy and present it in a way that doesn't make it seem too chaotic. I guess I could start. There's the easy part. There's 3 laws, philosophical laws that genuine philosophy operates in, I guess you could say, or follows to a certain extent, meaning that the whole goal is to become a genuine person. The way that you do that is becoming more conscious of your thoughts, how they reflect in your actions, and how they ultimately become a routine, which develop into behaviors, and how all of those influence each other, also influence your relationships and things like that. So basically how your thoughts influence your actions become your behavior, and your behavior influences your thoughts. So unless you're conscious of that specific cycle, you're basically just a Sims character that's being controlled by something else other than you. What that is, who knows? It could be your friends, your family, movies, who knows? So the best thing that you can do, at least from the perspective of genuine philosophy, is to become a more conscious individual, so you can at least do things that you want to do. For example, like I already spoke about, you want to be stressed about doing things that you want to do? Do you want to be stressed sitting at work, doing nothing for 8 hours, making a couple of bucks? Or do you want to be stressed doing something you want to do? I think that's a better stress. Whether it's taking pictures outside and it's a rainy day, or the lighting isn't right, it's a cloudy day, and you really want to take good pictures, and you're annoyed that the weather isn't doing well for you, or isn't doing good, whatever. I think it's a lot better to stress about those specific things in your life rather than going to work for 8 hours and doing nothing. Sorry, I think I'm looking at a fish in the water, I think. I don't know. There's something over there, but I really want to know. Is it a fish? It is a fish. I think there's jellyfish in here too. But it's frozen. Why is that fish? Bro, it's not spring. Go back to hibernating or sleeping. Also, I don't. What food do? Oh my God! It's on the. No. It's on the land. Okay. Maybe it's a leaf. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay. Let's get back to the topic at hand. So. Sorry, that's going to happen. Hopefully it's not going to happen. Who knows? Maybe it might happen with a grizzly in Yellowstone. That would be amazing. But for right now, let's focus on another aspect of genuine philosophy, which is the 3 laws, like I already spoke about, or that I said I was going to talk about. So let's get back to that. If it is a fish, it's back in the water. So, woohoo. So the 3 laws. Number 1 is whatever you believe in is true for you. It's a very simple concept to grasp, but one to really master, because that is the foundation, at least from the perspective of genuine philosophy, of everything that you think, do, or say. Is whatever you believe in is true for you. Which is basically, to expand that law, it's basically talking about your belief system. And to become more knowledgeable and conscious of your belief system. You may be saying, well, what is my belief system? What are you talking about, my belief system? What do you mean, what do I believe in? Like a God? It could be, if you believe in God, or multiple gods, or if you don't believe in a God, which is also believing in something. If you believe in the absence of something, that's still believing. But in we're not going to go into that. Maybe one day, but probably not recently. Or not, probably not. Doesn't matter, okay. So, belief. Whatever you believe in is true for you. What that means, and usually the analogy I use is, if you imagine a staircase, and at the top of the stairs is pure bliss, pure happiness, whatever form it takes for you as an individual from your subjective perspective. Once you get to the top of the stairs, it could be for the rest of your life, you will be eternally happy. But in order to get to the top of the stairs, you have to take a step on every step of that ladder. But if you believe that you can't take the first step, how can you get there? It's as simple as that. Some of you might be saying, well, just jump. Nope, you have to take every step. If you believe, you could use if you believe you can't jump. If you believe you can't take the first step on that stair case, then how are you going to get to the top? And there's a plethora of ways that you can view this concept in your life. But this is just a general overview, and I will obviously go in depth about that concept at a later time. That's the first one. Whatever you believe in is true for you. There's a whole bunch of stories I can tell you about me personally, how I achieved or reached that level of, I don't really want to say consciousness, but that level of understanding of that law. and how it came to be. Number 2 is life is about percentages. This one's a little bit quirky, but it plays upon the concept of the genuine equation. One of the greatest accomplishments in my life will be to create the genuine equation. There's many attempts that I will make. I haven't given a real good effort, not yet, because I have a lot of other things to think about. But the genuine equation is basically, it's very simple for right now. Like I said, it's going to expand a lot. But the genuine equation is basically C plus V equals G, which means constant plus variable equals genuine. You can use that to equal whatever you want. You can do G plus V, or C plus V equals O, which is constant plus variable equals outcome, which basically means C is constant, so there's a specific constant in your life, and variable, which is a variable in your life that you can't really account for as strongly as you can for a constant. For example, what I like to use as an analogy of life is about percentages, a very simple constant or concept situation, I'm tired clearly, is if you walk across the street and you don't look both ways, there's a higher chance that you're going to get hit by a car. Now, if you look both ways, that chance dramatically decreases, but it's never zero. So there's a couple of things we can look at. The constant is there's always going to be a chance that a car can hit you, no matter what you look at, no matter what you see. You might be saying, well, how? It could be flying down the road. You could trip while you're crossing the road. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. But that is always going to be a constant that you can, because it's a potential danger, that you could be hit by a car. So that's a constant, but it's technically also a variable in terms of the percentage that it holds. What you can add as a variable to lower that percentage of a constant, which would be getting hit by a car, because that's the main one that you have to focus on, is looking both ways. Now, if you look both ways, that brings that constant of getting hit by a car down dramatically from, could be 60, 70, 80, 90%, depending on where you are, to less than 1%, which is pretty good. But it depends on if you're like on a local street, but if you're on like a highway or a busy street, looking both ways is going to lessen it, but not by a lot, because there's other variables that are entered into that equation. What would those be? If you're on a busy street or like on a highway, you're crossing a highway, you have to wait for the light to turn green, and you should wait for the crosswalk to say walk. Then you still look both ways, and it decreases your percentage of chance of being hit. Now, that's a simple one. Now we can look at one that's a little bit more complicated, which would be going for a job or a job interview, to be precise. Now, everyone, I'm sure, can agree that if you go into a job interview and you don't take a shower, you don't sleep the night before, and you're pretty nonchalant, you don't really care about the interview, it might not go so well, because you're bringing in certain variables that you can just switch to constants. What I mean by that is, if you don't take a shower, you don't get a good night's rest, you don't prepare, then the interviewer could look at you and be like, why? This person doesn't care. And your chances of getting the job are going to go down significantly. Although, alternatively, you can have the best resume, look your best, get a fresh haircut, have dress nice, great night's sleep, be prepared to answer all the questions, and you can go into the interview, and one of two things can happen. You can have a terrible interview. The person might just not like you. I don't know. The person could be annoyed that day, and you weren't prepared for that, and then you start freaking out, and then the interview just goes bad. Or you go and you can have a great interview, best interview you've ever had, but the job was given to the person before you came in, or the day before, and they are just building a list. If the job is open, we'll contact you, kind of thing. So you can do everything perfect, but again, there's that one constant that it still may never happen. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to look at it from a life is about percentages point of view with the genuine equation, meaning that you want to find out what those constants are, you want to find out what those variables are, and be able to turn those variables into constants as best as you can. So, like I said, how you do that is you take taking a shower, turn that from a variable into a constant. You don't need to worry about that. If you didn't take a shower and you go into the interview, then you might need to worry about that. But if you do take a shower, then you don't need to worry about it. If your resume is good, then maybe you don't need to worry about it as much. So, what can you do? What can you do? If it's a job interview, like I said, you do all those specific things, take a shower, have a nice sleep the night before. But probably what the biggest thing is you can practice your interviewing skills with a friend or somebody else. Or you can also build on your resume. You might not get the job of your dreams the first time you go for it because you might not be that experienced. So you need to go and do jobs to gain experience, so and then you can go and get the job of your dreams. But not saying that you can't just go and get the job of your dreams, because you might know somebody. That's another thing, is you could go in and not care, be hungover, you didn't take a shower, but your buddy is interviewing you. So he's just doing it as a formality, and you're still getting the job regardless. So there's also that. But basically what it is, it's a way to prepare, but it's also a way to alleviate some anxiety. Because regardless of the outcome, you know that there's still a percentage of chance that you could just not get the job, regardless of what happens. And if that is the case, you can be prepared for it. But that's where the step one comes in. If you believe you're going to get it and you don't get it, then it could be detrimental to you. So that's how law 3 comes into play, which is you must be okay with everything. Now, this is a pretty easy concept to comprehend. It just means you must be okay with everything. You don't need to be happy about what's going on. You don't even need to be sad about what's going on. But you need to be okay that it's happening or has happened. If we take the job interview perspective, and you believed that you were going to get the job, you didn't get the job, and you're distraught. Your whole world is coming down. You needed this job. You wanted this job, and you didn't get it. If you are not okay that you didn't get the job, you might start drinking, smoking, going on a bender, who knows, just doing a whole bunch of stuff to try to escape reality of no matter what you do, you still don't have the job. Until you come to terms with, okay, maybe I didn't get the job. Now, I'm not saying you must be okay with everything. In terms of genuine philosophy, in terms of being a genuine person, in terms of being conscious, you must be okay with the fact that it has happened. Once you are not okay with that fact, then you're outside of the realm of consciousness and your subjective reality, and you are creating a subsection of a subjective reality where reality isn't where you're specifically living in. So what you need to do is you need to feed yourself with distractions and be dazed to deny that part is real, which is detrimental to your growth. Those are the three specific laws. There's much more I can go, and I will go into detail about them. Not today. That is another time. Maybe later this week, but at least for a very brief overview of what genuine philosophy is, those three laws are it. Trust me, I'm going to get used to talking more about these specific things. I'll say this, I do speak about these things a lot to my best friend, even though it's hard for her to follow sometimes, because I'm always talking about these concepts and things and how it applies to my life and other people's lives. But if you do not obsessively think about philosophy, then hearing about philosophy every single day isn't comforting. I believe it's comforting, but that's me. And not everybody feels like that. Some people might, and it also does not need to feel so overwhelming or intense. I'm going to try to not have it sound like that, but I think about it all the time. And I'm not saying that to be like, whoa, look at me. I'm saying that in terms of I could be and am 100% ignorant to the fact that not everybody thinks about philosophy all the time, and not everybody can understand certain concepts that I believe are simple because I live in this realm. But I'm also ignorant to the fact that I could think that a certain concept is complicated, but people get it right away, and it's not complicated at all. So I only live from my own perspective. That is, I'm going to leave you with this. This is one of the last. There's three certain perspectives to look at in genuine philosophy. Number one is subjective perspective, which is from your own perspective. Objective perspective, which is theoretically impossible to really comprehend because it is outside of yourself. But how can you see an objective perspective or a perspective at all from outside yourself when you're seeing life through yourself? It's only perceived objective perspective, which is, I'll explain that a little bit more later on. But then there's one that is the champion of all of them, is your projected perspective, which is, where do you want to be? Because the whole idea, I lied about, this is the last thing. This will be the last thing. The projective perspective is the idea of where you want to be. Like what I said before about the stress kind of thing, where it's like you want to be stressed about things that you want to be stressed about. Same thing with projected perspective. You might realize that you have a specific subjective perspective on happiness or sadness that you don't want to have. And so you can start building your projected perspective, which is a goal that you can reach and work towards. Now, the last thing is going to be, that I'm going to talk about today, is the genuine path, which is the whole reason why I'm doing this, is the practical application of genuine philosophy. So what that entails is 5 specific steps. I'll tell you them really quick, and then I'm going to stop the video and leave. Number 1 is breaking down your philosophy, which is basically, how do you feel about happiness? What is your view on your sadness or sadness in life? What is, how does pain genuinely affect you? How do you want to view your success? Or how do you want to view success in general? How do you view your failures? How do you want to view your failures? How do you view relationship? What could be your perfect relationship? What could be your perfect version of yourself? Breaking down specifically your philosophy. The idea of that is that everybody, regardless of if you're conscious of it or not, there is a specific philosophy that you live with. The idea is to break it down, the one that you have, and build it up in the way that you want to, because the next one is identifying. Once you're able to break down your philosophy, you are able to look at it and identify the parts of your philosophy that you like. So, for example, you might like how you are happy when your friend, when something good happens to your friend. What you don't like is that you get sad about it too. You're happy for your friend, but you get sad about you because you might not be doing things that your friend is doing. So you're happy in one aspect, but you're sad in another. So you could look at it and be like, well, I want to be happy for my friend, and I don't necessarily need to be happy for me, because what does that have to do with me? But I don't need to be sad about it. But you can also look and be like, you know what, I think I'm okay with being sad as long as I'm taking that sadness and using it as fuel to build a bigger inspiration or motivation within myself to do something that I want to do. So it's just a healthy way to look at how you view things in your life. Then, once you're able to identify certain aspects of your philosophy, you can begin to transform it, which is not the most important, but it is the most beneficial to be able to start transforming things, because you can break down your philosophy, you can identify it, but if you're not transforming, if you're not doing anything about the things that you don't like or don't want to be in your philosophy, then what are you doing? You can just look at it and pow. You can, if you want to, do that, which is fine. But if you want to actually affect change in your life, then you need to be able to look at it, transform it. You need to look at it, identify it, break it down, identify it, and transform it in your life. If you want to. Not saying you need to. If you want to, then you need to. If you want to, then you need to. Not if you need to, then you want to. The whole idea of genuine philosophy is doing things that you want to do. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm fine. You don't need to do anything. It's only if you want to do it. Then if you want to, then you need to do it. Does that make sense? The fourth thing is the most important. Let's say you broke down your entire philosophy, you identified every aspect of your philosophy, and now you're actively transforming. Let's say you got to a certain point in your life of your philosophy that you wanted to be at, and you're there. Congratulations, that's so good. But this is the key thing, it's to maintain it, because you broke it down, you identified it, and now you transform that part of you into a version that you specifically want. But if you're not maintaining it, then you're just going to revert back to where you were before, where you feel most comfortable. So maintaining is the most important part of this process, because once you got to that part, you need to maintain it. And I'll use this example. Every single person can be happy on a sunny, warm day. But if you go through 6 days of pure sun, and on the 7th day it rains, are you going to still be happy? You might say, yeah, of course I'll be happy. Just 1 day of rain. Okay. Next day it's raining. Still happy? Yeah. 3rd, 4th, 5th day, still happy? It's getting a little less. What if you go 2 weeks straight rain? You might forget what it feels like to be happy. Will you be able to maintain your transformation during those dark times? That's the most important. Because you truly didn't transform until you're able to maintain it through all aspects of life. That's just genuine philosophy's viewpoint. There could be a lot of other things, and a lot of other people telling me that I'm wrong. But I'll tell you a secret. Just because you think I'm wrong doesn't mean I am. But I will tell you this, just because I think I'm right doesn't mean I am. I will also say this to you, is it's almost impossible to figure out what's right and wrong. So it's not I'm saying that I'm right or wrong, even though I use those words. It's all about doing what you want, and if it works for you, then it works for you. Last one, and then I'm really going to go, honestly. I'm just kind of on a roll. In my own head, I don't know how it looks on the phone. I also don't even know if I'm recording, so that's another thing. But last thing, I promise. Well, No, I promise, so I can't break it. Okay, last thing is commitment. Um, are you committed to bettering yourself? If you are, then great. Then do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for the people around you. For me personally, this is the last thing. I promise. This is conjoined on there. I didn't break it. Um, for me, my commitment to this, there it is my sole purpose in life is to help individuals achieve their true potential through genuine understanding. I'll say that again. My genuine purpose in life is to help individuals achieve their true potential through genuine understanding. This is the only way that I know how to do that. So my commitment is for anybody that's watching this, whether it's today, a year, or 10 years from now. I could be watching this right now and being like, I look like a fool, but I genuinely believe that this will help a lot of people, and I really do hope that it helps you. And if it doesn't, I tried. But tell me about it. You know, it's like, what can I do to make this better? What parts of this do you think is good? What do you agree with? What do you not agree with? What do you want